GSTR-3b return. GSTR-3b is a monthly return to be filed by a regular dealer registered under GST. This return includes summarized details of sale purchases during the month along with the amount of GST liability. To view GST report, first of all we'll go to Display GST Reports menu. Next we will click GST Return section. Under GST Returns you can see GSTR-3b is provided. On clicking the GSTR-3b option, a GSTR-3b window will appear in which first of all you need to specify the starting date and the ending date for which you want to generate the report. Then you want to consider the voucher date or the purchase bill date. So for voucher date you will specify V and for purchase bill date you will specify P. Include expense not liable to RCM daily limit. Specify Y in this data field to include RCM expenses which are below daily limit, that is 5,000. Include expenses not liable to RCM not applicable. Specify Y in this data field to include expenses in which RCM nature is set to not applicable, or else you can specify no in this data field. Basically, on specifying yes, expenses will be shown under section 5 value of exempt, nil rated and non-GST inward supplies. Then is show exempt NR ZR entries in taxable invoice separately. Basically, on specifying Y in this data field, exempt, nil rated or zero rated entries in a voucher will appear under section 3.1C other outward supplies nil rated exempted. Otherwise, they will be displayed in section 3.1A outward taxable supplies other than zero rated, nil rated and exempted. This is required only in case of multi-tax voucher where in a single voucher there could be different tax rates. Then is show reverse charge sale invoice as exempt. Specify Y in this data field to view reverse charge sale invoice as exempt supply. Otherwise, it will be shown under taxable supplies. On specifying yes in this data field, reverse charge sales invoice will be shown under section 3.1C other outward supplies nil rated exempted. Otherwise, they will be shown under section 3.1A outward taxable supplies other than zero rated, nil rated and exempted. Pick relevant ITC from monthly ITC tagging. Specify yes in this data field to pick ITC for the specified period as per the status and return period specified by you under monthly ITC tagging utility. Apply new set of rules with effect from 1st February 2019. You can specify yes in this data field to apply new set of rules as stated by government which came into effect on 1st February 2019. Earlier, there was a different formula of ITC utilization, but with effect from 1st February 2019, government has proposed new set of rules for ITC utilization. Show paid through ITC details in table 6.1 as fitted. Specify yes in this data field to view paid through ITC column details under table 6.1 as per adjustment entries fitted by you. Otherwise, they will be shown as per basic calculation. After entering data in the required data fields, click OK button. On clicking the OK button, a Form GSTR-3b window will appear. In the window, you can see there are different sections and under each section, various details are provided. So first of all, here section is outward taxable supplies other than zero rated, nil rated and exempted. This section displays the total taxable value, integrated tax, CGST, SGST and cess in separate columns from sales and sales related transactions with or without reverse charge applicability recorded with taxable local central sales or deemed exports. Next is outward taxable supplies zero rated. This section displays the total taxable value, IGST and cess in separate columns from sales and sale related transactions with export with payment of IGST or without payment of IGST and sales to SEZ with payment or without payment of IGST. Next, other outward supplies nil rated exempted. This section displays the value of sales and sales related transactions recorded with local central sales exempted nil rated. Next, inward supplies liable to reverse charge. This section displays the total taxable value, IGST, CGST and cess in separate columns for inward supply transactions recorded with taxable import of service, taxable inward supply local central from registered dealer on which reverse charge is applicable, taxable inward supply local central from unregistered dealer on which reverse charge is applicable. Non-GST outward supplies. This section displays the value of supplies made which are kept completely out of GST like petroleum products and so on. 3.2 section details of interstate supplies made to unregistered persons, composition taxable persons and UIN holders. This section shows further breakup of outward taxable supplies shown in section 3.1 Here, details of interstate supplies made to an unregistered dealer, composition, taxable person, and entities holding UIN are filtered on the basis of place of supply, that is, where the goods are dispatched. Next is Section 4 Eligible ITC. A. ITC available whether in full or part. Under this section, ITC available under different heads CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST, and CES for the transactions are mentioned. Transactions, which transactions will be covered, that we will discuss now. Transactions like ITC available from import of goods, import of services. This will include all the vouchers from import of services. ITC available from reverse charge liabilities, that is inward supplies which are eligible for reverse charge, inward supplies from input service distributors, and ITC available from B2B inward supplies will also be included. B. ITC reversed. Under this section, ITC reversal as per Rule 42 and 43 of CGST rules and any other will appear. C. Net ITC available A minus B section, that is under this section, net ITC available is auto calculated by subtracting the values of section B from section A. Ineligible ITC D. Under this section, ineligible ITC values will appear if any. For example, tax paid on car maintenance expenses are ineligible for ITC claims. Hence, this section will show all such entries. Fifth, value of exempt, nil rated, and non GST inward supplies. Under this section, the total value of purchase of goods from a composition taxable person and nil rated or exempted goods bifurcated separately for central and local transactions will be shown. Also, non GST supplies such as electricity expenses bifurcated separately for central and local transactions. 6.1 Payment of tax. Under this section, various data is appearing. You can see first is tax payable, which is showing tax payable values for taxable supplies and reverse charge. Both these values are calculated from section 3.1. Input tax credit. This column shows the ITC available used to offset the output tax liability of IGST, CGST, SGST as per the rules specified by the government. These values are basically picked from the cross adjustment and input output adjustment entry posted using F4 key at the time of viewing GST summary. Tax or cess paid in cash. This column shows balance tax cess amount which is to be paid in cash after adjusting ITC with tax payable. These values are picked from the GST payment entry posted using F4 key at the time of viewing GST summary. Interest, if there is any interest which is to be deposited, then that must also be reported. Late fee, if any is to be deposited, then that must also be reported. 6.2 TDS TCS credit. Under this section, TDS TCS credit, it is input available from TDS TCS is reflected. The amount appearing here is picked from the adjustment entry posted for TDS TCS to output adjustment from GST summary using F4 option. Now, after discussing all the sections of this report, we will discuss the process of filing GSTR-3b e-return. To generate GSTR-3b e-return, we'll go to GSTR-3b e-return menu. On selecting the GSTR-3b e-return option, a message box will appear asking you that do you want to generate a JSON file, plain Excel file or Excel file as per government template. So you can select the required option. Here we are selecting the JSON option, which means we will be creating a JSON file which will then be uploaded on GST portal. On selecting the JSON option, GSTR-3b e-return window is appearing in which we will specify data in various data fields like starting date, ending date, consider voucher date or purchase bill date. Almost all these options we have already discussed while discussing the GSTR-3b return. Here in the special characters to be removed field, we will specify the special characters, or basically we can say junk characters, that are to be removed for smoothly generating the JSON file. And then is the e-return file path, that is you will specify the path where the JSON file will be created. Here you can see we have given the path of the desktop, so a JSON file, on clicking the OK button, a JSON file will be created at the desktop. We have clicked the OK button and you can see busy is showing a message box that JSON file has been created successfully at the desktop. On the desktop, you can see also that a JSON file is appearing. This file needs to be uploaded on GST portal. Now we will go to the GST portal, that is gst.gov.in. Here first of all you will click the login button, that is will log into the GST site. On clicking the login button, next we will specify our credentials like username, password and the captcha. After specifying the valid user details, click login button. Now you're logged into the GST portal. Here you can see your return calendar. It's showing last 5 return periods. And now we'll click here the return dashboard option. On clicking the return dashboard option, next screen is appearing where you will select the quarter for which you are filing the GSTR-3b return, the period in which you are filing. Like we have selected the April to June quarter, so we have selected the month as June. Next, click the search button. Next, in the monthly return GSTR-3b section, you will click the prepare offline button. On clicking the prepare offline button, a screen is appearing. Here you will click the choose file button to select the JSON file that you have created from busy. We have created a JSON file at the desktop, so now here we'll give the path of the desktop and we'll select the JSON file that we have created for the GSTR-3b e-return. Select the file, click open button. Here you can see a screen is appearing which is showing error report not applicable, that is there is no error in your data. Now we'll click to back to file returns button. Again we are selecting the quarter, clicking the search button. Now in the monthly return GSTR-3b section, we'll click the prepare online button. Here it's asking, do you want to file nil return? We are selecting the no option here and clicking the next button. Now it's showing the system generated summary for GSTR-3b, and now it's showing various sections. So first of all, we'll click on the tax on outward and reverse charge inward supply section. Here it's showing the complete details. Basically here you can check the IGST, CGST, SGST details like total taxable value and so on. And after checking the values, click the confirm button if you find the values perfectly fine. Next we are checking each of the section. So we are checking the eligible ITC section. After checking the details, we'll click the confirm button. Next, exempt, nil and non-GST inward supply section. On clicking this section, it's showing details like amount of interstate supplies and intrastate supplies, and then click the confirm button. Now here you will click the save GSTR-3b option, and then we'll click the proceed to payment option. It's showing a message box, click the proceed button. Now it's showing the details like other than reverse charge tax payable, paid through ITC, other than reverse charge tax to be paid in cash, all these details are appearing. Here we will click the create challan option. On clicking the create challan option, you can see it's showing the total challan amount. Now we'll select the mode of payment, like we want to make payment through NEFT, RTGS, over the counter or e-payment. So here we are selecting the e-payment option. You can select any payment mode as per your requirement. That is basically the mode from which you are making the payment. After selecting the e-payment mode, it's showing details of taxpayers, details of deposit, and then we are selecting the preferred banks or net banking. We are selecting our bank. Basically we are making payment. Next we'll click the terms and conditions. We'll click the make payment button. On clicking the make payment button, it will route you to the bank's website, that is from the bank from which payment is to be made. So it's showing the message on completion of payment, you will be routed back to GST portal. So once the payment will be made, you will be routed back to GST portal. Now after making the payment, here you will click the make payment post credit to ledger button. Click the yes button. It's showing offset successful. Click the OK button. Now you'll click the proceed to file button. On clicking the proceed to file button, various options are appearing. First of all, take the acknowledgement, then authorize signatory. Now you can select either file GSTR-3b with EVC or DSC option as per your requirement. Here we are selecting the file GSTR-3b with EVC option. Next, it's asking to enter the OTP that you have received on your registered mobile number. Once you will specify a valid OTP and click the OK button, your GSTR-3b will be filed. So it's showing a message that filing successful, which means you have successfully filed the GSTR-3b. Now again we are clicking the search button, selecting the required quarter for which we have filed the GSTR-3b, and you can see it's showing its status as filed. That means we have successfully filed our GSTR-3b. So this is all we have to discuss in